Okay, I'm watching A State of Mind by Alex Jones, and I got to a really good point where they talk about cognitive dissonance, and I clicked back, so I don't know how far I clicked back, but I'm gonna play that, and I think it's really weird because I always talk about cognitive dissonance, and then they put that in their film. And so that's really weird. And that whole film is weird. It's almost like everything that I say. And they just like took everything I said and put it in a film. And they make money, and I'm like, I could probably make a better film than that. They're lucky I don't even try. My fingers would bleed. But let's listen to what they said.
Things that he described back in 1961. These are really all reflections of MK Ultra. And so when you ask who came up with these ideas of MK Ultra, like that was an operational project. Whose needs was it serving? It's serving an elite class who's a predatory class. They're intraspecific kleptoparasites. They are of the same species, but they are preying on us. They are plundering our production, and they use knowledge, the knowledge gap, as a power gap, as a wealth gap, and that is the harness of control.
Well, I think the pharmacological control is seen today. I mean, we've kind of got an amalgam of Brave New World in 1984. And I mean, Huxley, when you read Brave New World, I mean, this is what is happening today. I mean, they actually call one of the drugs now Soma. You know, I mean, it's like they're not even hiding that.
That's from Brave New World.
Yeah, it is. And the whole agenda was laid out there. And all you have to do is, you know...
Well, so they're using 1984 as an instruction manual.
And so now, if anybody goes in for anything, a kid is a kid. You know, we just called it daydreaming, you know, when I was a kid. Now it's like they want to shove ADD drugs down their throat. You know, anybody that goes in for the slightest thing, maybe you're having a bad day. Now all of a sudden you're diagnosed with this major disorder, and Big Pharma is giving you drugs. They're funding hospitals to where they go in, and if you want the money, well, you've got to push drugs as the only solution. And I think that this is, you know, Huxley called it how many years ago?
Unbelievable. Let's go back to the clip here, the final segment of the film, and we're going to have extras. I want to talk about solutions at the end, and then intro some of these extras, because I haven't seen this. I've seen the film. I haven't seen the extras. You tell me how good they are. So intro these for myself and everybody else when we come back. Here's the conclusion of State of Mind.
Secure your copy today at Infowars.com.
Cognitive dissonance occurs when individuals lack consistency in their methods of thinking, and thus contradictory elements attempting to reside simultaneously as fact create frustration, confusion, anger, and aggression.
I'm confused.
It is the difference between what you think the world is and what the world actually is.
Cognitive dissonance is really, again, a fancy psychologist term for, again, some common sense, which is this tension that people will experience when they have two opposing kind of ideas.
The role of psychology in advertising is to create cognitive dissonance, or the conflict between what you have and what you want, and to fill that void by adapting your behavior accordingly in order to achieve your reward. If an entire society can be properly dosed with mind-altering but culturally approved drugs, this cognitive dissonance may be largely assuaged. With social control as their aim, the ruling class sought to expand their ability to influence the individual. Mind games, those of psychological warfare and advertising, were simply not enough. The opportunity existed to employ chemical treatments physically affecting the hardware of the brain to complement the already existing harmful software in the form of effective propaganda and advertising. The tax-free foundations, including the Carnegie and Ford Foundations, followed the lead of the Rockefeller Foundation in the widespread funding of pharmacological solutions to social control.
And they say, we will give you $1 million for your medical school if you teach
pharmaceutical drugs in your medical school. So the doctors come out, they're very happy because they get this wonderful building, all these high-paid teachers, the best talent, the best brains you can buy, all funded by tax-exempt foundation money. But what comes out of that is that the doctors are taught drugs, drugs, drugs.
Psychiatry itself as a profession is one gigantic mind control operation.
What happens when the habits demonstrated by groups of individuals reflect the outsourcing of their intelligence to so-called experts and authoritarians who are self-appointed to make decisions on their behalf?
You can have a psychiatrist testify in court that somebody has ADHD or clinically depressed or this or that, but every one of those official mental disorders is a total lie and fraud because there is no diagnostic test for any of these disorders. Not ADHD, not bipolar, not depression, not schizophrenia, not anything that you've ever heard of that is a discrete mental disorder.
The American Psychiatric Association has a committee, and they create this thing called the DSM, their Diagnostic Bible. And they decide what goes in there. And they decide that certain people who don't pay attention to boring things have this disorder called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And if you accept that you have a disease, as opposed to like, well, maybe I'm somebody who can really pay attention to things that are interesting to me, but I'm somebody who's stubborn enough to not really want to pay attention to things that are boring for me. And that maybe that's a good thing. That's how you maybe have something really a worthy contribution, as opposed to allowing people who are bores to fill up your whole life. You only want to listen to things that actually really are interesting for you. If you accept these ideas, though, that you have a disease or there's something essentially wrong with you, you're going to be more a prey to authorities controlling you.
And some of these drugs, such as the SSRI antidepressants like Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, and so on, are known to induce violent behavior, including suicide and homicide. And you have a profession like psychiatry that is seeding the country, like planting seeds in a garden and a farm. With these diagnoses and these drugs, this is Operation Chaos.
Part of the problem of psychology, psychiatry, when it comes to diagnoses, is that they really seem to have no political awareness of their pathologizing of anti-authoritarianism, of stubbornness, of rebellion. This is, I think, a part of the reason for that is I think that an overwhelming number of psychiatrists, psychologists, mental health professionals are more kind of compliant people. And when they see non-compliant, more stubborn, more oppositional kinds of patients, especially young people, that creates a lot of anxiety for them.
And so you have this power, and you do this for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. These little seeds, which are drugs, you see, that affect the brain in various unpredictable and horrendous ways. And you have that power to do that for 50 years. Don't you think you could really call that mind control? That's mind control par excellence.
If habit is thus the enormous flywheel of society, and habit keeps us all within the bounds of ordinance, then it is our habits which enslave us to the so-called children of fortune, for their fortune exists only because our habits prevent us from outpacing the status quo and growing in the right direction. How might we begin to change our habits such that our actions are no longer in conflict with our needs as individuals to survive and thrive in this world? And what will happen if we do not resist?
We're heading toward a system where we're going to have economic collapse, real crisis, be much worse than anything we've seen. We're going to be in a position where most people won't understand how it came about. They won't realize that it's the result of government policies, of corrupt politicians, and so therefore they're going to go to those same corrupt politicians and endorse the same policies, and we're going to get more of the same. And that is where we're headed.
It all goes back to people who are smarter than us, who are polymaths, who are organized and have a lot of office supplies and infinite money because they can print it out of thin air and everyone else takes it and says, this is real. That's not real. Your mind is real, objective reality is real, wisdom is valuable because we can learn how to survive together with that, but all these things that they make us think are valuable, like petroleum or any of these other commodities, they're all fear-based. If we just really understood what was going on and our voluntary role in it, we wouldn't play such a role in our own servitude.
So we come to a point in our lives where it's fair to ask, what was the last original thought you had? Would the way you walk, the way you talk, the vocabulary that you use, all of these things are built into the expectation you have of yourself based on the role you have chosen to play in the theater of life as it's been defined to you.
Well, I think we're seeing what the consequences are of just complying with everything right now, because that's what most people in America do at this point in time. The consequences are every day you're losing more of your constitutional rights, and your freedom is being taken away more and more and more by this all-encompassing security state being brought to you by your United States government.
If you out there watching don't wake up and begin to investigate these facts and prove them for yourself and take action against these people, you are not just committing suicide against yourself, but against all of good humanity.
Consequences to non-resistance of control is losing everything that makes us human, that we love, that we cherish.
Now think about which laws have been passed recently to give you more rights. There aren't any. There aren't any at all.
A lot of folks who are critical thinkers, they realize how powerful these kind of giant corporate government entity is out there. And that kind of understanding that a critical thinker has can be quite painful and can lead to them being depressed and apathetic and giving up. And so we see that throughout history, that a lot of your really great critical thinkers sometimes succumb to depression and substance abuse because they're so overwhelmed, as opposed to others who figure out that conundrum, that if I'm going to be a critical thinker, I'm going to see how powerful these oppressive authorities in my life are, but I can't allow that pain to make me just kind of give up into kind of fatalism or defeatism.
Information and knowledge equals power and control.
Whatever the public face of something is, whatever they're talking about publicly, there's something else over here they're probably not looking at. And that's why it's important for individuals to look beyond what is being presented publicly.
It's input, processing, and output. And what we're trying to do is keep a clean signal. That's knowledge of that which exists, and to filter out the noise. And we do that by dismissing the arbitrary things that aren't substantial and identifying fallacies, because the way that people can effectively lie is through words, and it's through our own belief in these words that makes it take control of our lives. So in understanding these essential aspects of how they control us, we can learn individually, become free, and to communicate amongst each other how to do that more efficiently.
Don't buy the propaganda. Don't believe what's in the mainstream media. It sometimes is true, but often not. There's only one thing that we can do to change the course of the reality, and that is to recapture the system. All of the positions of power in America today, and to a large extent around the world, are in the hands of collectivists, people who believe in the very system we have. They like it.
First thing we have to do is we have to take the schools back, and then we have to educate the kids that, hey, this happened in the past. These are the things that happened.
You have to have a conscience, and you have to take a stand. And no matter how many people want to get you in the group, don't be part of that, because you're going to lose your individuality if you become part of the group.
You have to kind of forgive yourself, and once you do that, you can have greater compassion for other people who are still being victimized, who are still believing that those who are controlling their lives actually care about that.
A large segment of the population that are so-called conspiracy theorists, but I don't have a problem with these people. They should be questioning things that are going on, because we can't trust the media to accurately report stories.
Activism can help a society that's already fallen under the weight of its own stupidity fall a couple of generations early, right? To be able to move into a healthier society.
When you get down to the ideas of what we can do to free ourselves, you have to first look at what exists. So what exists is, this system is organized, it is there to control the crowd. And if you do not resist it, you lose all individuality, you lose your identity, you outsource your thinking, you are being denied your life, and that is every bit as serious as someone trying to stab you in the back, because without your life, liberty, and the ownership of your own work and your own labor, you have no rights under their systems.
Freedom means freedom, not some freedom, but all freedom. As long as you don't take away the life, liberty, or property of your fellow man, you should be free to do everything that you want to do. That's what built this country in the first place. So the solution to the problem is to return to that high ideal. Return to that high ideal. Then everything is possible.
You don't have to like the system you're in, and frankly, you have every right to speak out against it.
Freedom of the individual is where you start. And then the individual can say, what am I going to do with my own freedom? How am I going to use my imagination and my creative power to invent realities of my own and make them fact in the world, as opposed to sitting back here passively and letting elites manufacture reality for me.
Humanity is worth resisting this, and if you don't stand up against these diabolical globalists, you are turning our species and our entire history and our entire future over to these people. You're betraying our ancestors who fought against incredible odds so that we might have some basic freedoms. And you're betraying yourself, your children, your family, and all future human generations. We can't turn our species over to total darkness. We can't turn our species over to people who love to hurt innocence and who hate beauty. We must resist the New World Order. We must free our minds and awaken the human spirit. It is time for the sleeping giant that is humanity to awaken.
Secure your copy today at Infowars.com.
Again, that concludes the premiere of State of Mind here on Infowars tonight. The news is will be archived at prisonplanet.tv for subscribers, and we're also going to post it on the Alex Jones channel on YouTube.
I think that was informative. Seems to like touch on a lot of things that I talk about. I might like replay it. So I can like memorize it. Let's play it again. Let's start it though. Let's go back to like the cognitive dissonance or something.
Modify, adapt, or somehow reshape the thinking of a target group, of an audience. These specific techniques, which were brought to bear on the Branch Davidians, were developed for military operations overseas, primarily against a foreign target. So another question has to be asked: what is the wisdom of using psychological operations techniques developed for an audience against a U.S. target? Again, a very controversial issue. How does one defend themselves against strategic information, propaganda? It's a very simple answer. Ask questions. Always check your source. I, as a public figure, am often having to speak publicly about issues and information. I look at everything. I've been criticized by my friends. Oh my God, you look at Fox News, you look at CNN. Absolutely, because the false information being provided to the mainstream outlets means something. So why are they saying things a certain way?
How are the habits of individuals changed and then reinforced to create new behaviors, preferable to the collective? In the 21st century, the method has evolved little
Oh my
from
gosh,
the
like
idea
shit.
of
Oh.
only the technology has changed. Today's television provides those who leverage public airwaves with an opportunity to control individuals far beyond the simple linguistic programming of radio.
The major point of television is the commercial. The programming is designed to kind of keep people hanging in there long enough to watch a commercial, and that they're in a more passive, zombified state to buy into the goofy, silly commercial. That is the point of it.
you are willingly subjecting yourself and your family to psychological warfare assault, not just with the semantics, not just with the messages, but the very flicker rate of the television, on record, patented to put you into a dreamlike sleep state where you're highly suggestible.
You think you're looking at a constant picture. You're really not. On modern televisions, you're looking at LEDs, and they're going on and off. Because they're going on and off, there's a brain entrainment process that takes place. To make it real simple, it comes down to this. Research shows us that the average person, when placed in front of a television set, in less than 3 minutes will go into alpha. Hypnosis is, for all intent and purposes, objectified by brainwave activity. If I'm looking at your brain waves, an EEG, in normal consciousness, you're operating at what we think of as theta. So you're going to be 15 to 30 cycles per second. 30 is on the stress side, but that's typically where you're going to fall. In alpha, you're going to be 7 to 14 cycles per second, 8 to 14 cycles, depending on the scale. Now, alpha consciousness, for all intent and purposes, is a state of hyper-suggestibility. And it keeps people sedated. You know, they use them in televisions are used in prisons. They're cheaper than hiring more guards. Of course, people are going to be then told that it's okay not to just have one television, but to have 3, 4 televisions in a house, and so you're not watching it just on a normal television set, but on their phone and on their laptop. And you want to normalize this kind of crazy thing of people spending 5, 6, 7 hours a day watching television.
Television has been the ultimate tool of mind control. And for more than 60 years, children are set in front of it as a babysitter, while they are bombarded with images of violence and decadence and corruption. And what it does is it just acclimates the child that when they see a real person dying in the street, they don't go over and aid them. We see this happening because, oh, that's entertainment. In fact, people now have been recorded laughing at someone hurt because it's just more entertainment. They've had their basic empathy disconnected, cut off.
The role of advertising has certainly evolved away from one of utilitarian necessity in communicating the form, function, and value of a product. The application of the behavioral and psychological sciences has played a seminal role in the way corporations now sell products to consumers in American society and internationally. In 1921, after leaving Johns Hopkins University, John B. Watson, the founder of the...
Alright, this is exactly what I was talking about. Remember, I even said this. And I totally just forgot. See, like, just the shit that I say is just, like, fucking crazy. And then I'm like... I forgot. Okay, where? There. Oh, no. Where? At least YouTube added a new feature where it like zooms in and you can freaking see where you're fucking just backing up to, man. Okay.
The application of the behavioral and psychological sciences has played a seminal role in the way corporations now sell products to consumers in American society and internationally. In 1921, after leaving Johns Hopkins University, John B. Watson,
Yep, John B. Watson. John B. Watson. He went to the Johns Hopkins University. That's where I should go. I should go to where John B. Watson went to school. That's where I should go. That's where all the pros go. That's why I should go there. And be like, but I should just fly away, like, just fly away. But maybe I can go to John Watkins to learn how to fly away and be like, wow, it's my mind. An American psychologist who established the psychological school of behaviorism. Watson promoted a change in psychiatry through the address psychology and as behaviorists view it, which is given, oh my god, through his blah blah blah, holy fuck. Little Albert experiment. Let's see that. Let's see what it is. Oh, that was a study on some shit. Oh, fuck. Cat. Are you hungry? You're hungry, kitty. Biter. Infants, given me a dozen healthy infants well formed in my own specialized world to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee to take any one at random and train him to become any type of specialist I might select. Doctor, lawyer, artist, merchant, thief, baker, man, thief, regardless of his talents, tendencies, ability, race, ancestry. I am going beyond John B. Watson. Kitty coat. How do you like my fur neckerchief? Are you my fur coat? My fur coat is an African tiger, spotted leopard, and it's very vicious and ferocious. But I have it tamed to be my warm neck warmer, shoulder, fur cat coat. Maybe. She's vicious. Oh. She's attacking me. She's attacking me. This is a spotted leopard cat. It was bred from African savanna leopard cats. And it's trained to be my my neck. What are you doing? My baby. What are you doing? See, she's just trained to sleep like this. I have a wild bobcat. Are you my wild bobcat? Are you my cat? Cat. Kitty, kitty, kitty. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? Hey, my wild bobcat. This is my wild bobcat that was bred with a domestic spotted leopard, African savanna cat. Some people kill them for their fur, but I just train them to just sit on my neck. So it's even better because I have like, it's like that Old Spice commercial where the guy has like wolves and falcons around him. It's like, I use Old Spice too. I have a cat that keeps my neck warm. And I use Old Spice. I am the most interesting man in the world. What are you doing? I am the most interesting man in the world. I have a cat on my shoulder. This vicious kitty is wild and mean. It could kill many things. It has fangs that are huge. It has gigantic claws capable of killing anything, any rodent, rabbit, snake, anything. This thing can do 50 miles an hour in a straight sprint. And I'm not keeping it here, it's just staying there. See my hands. Hands are here. It just sits there. What are you doing? You're my baby. Huh? Look at the vicious monster. It's okay. Let's see if I can stand up. Man, put a cat on your shoulder and it stays there for like 30 minutes.